stuck on the foot of the stool. Hello, people. Me again. Another beautiful day, or night, or evening. Yup. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good, or excellent. What? What's up, gamers? I know it looks kind of dark around here. Got to turn on the light in a minute. Let's see here. We got a nice little article again. This from the Activision merger again. Listen to this. What's up, Tweakdown? It says here some of Microsoft merger appeal arguments aren't very strong. Well, I mean, you're gonna have some strong points. You're gonna have some strong points. And you're gonna have some weak points. But the whole point of the situation is you got points. Now, let's get down to business. It says here, some of Microsoft merger appeal arguments aren't very strong. All right, okay. Some of Microsoft arguments that Microsoft present in its appeal to overturn this Competition and Market Authority merger block decision aren't very strong. All right. It says here, Microsoft has filed an appeal with Competition Appeal Tribunal that argues why the CMA merger block decision should be overturned, but some of these points aren't very strong or compelling. Says here, this is an option piece that builds an argument based on market trends and video games industry data. In an appeal filing, Microsoft legal counsel has listed 5 key reasons why the CMA was wrong to prohibit its $68.7 billion merger with Activision Blizzard King. The UK Competition Appeal Tribunal, who oversees appeal and competition cases, sorry about that, has published an application summary that outlines Microsoft appeal arguments. While a portion of these could be sound, including assertions that the CMA made fundamental errors in determining Microsoft cloud gaming market share, some of the arguments just don't have much weight behind them. And then it says here, more specifically, Ground 3 and 4A don't seem entirely viable. Ground 3 makes the case that the CMA was irrational to conclude that Activision would bring its games to cloud gaming streaming service if merger didn't go through. This bear more examination. Starting to get a little dark in here. Where's the lights? Uh-oh. Light. Alright. Okay, then it says ground. Says here, this is a reality that Activision offering its games to service like GeForce Now Booster or it wouldn't actually hurt the company in any other way except a potential reputational harm due to cloud gaming range and gameplay performance. Cloud gaming relies heavily on internet connection speed, which can often be flux. There's no guarantees of specific higher end performance during the entire gameplay experience. It says here, other than that, it actually makes good business sense to offer these games to service. Remember, GeForce Now and Booster Wars are bring your own games, service that requires subscribers to have already purchased the game they want to stream. So Activision Blizzard would not miss out on sales of its games if, of course, it was able to tie Battle.net purchase license to the streaming service. As evidenced by the Microsoft Cloud Game Remedy that was published by the CMA, Activision Blizzard could probably also negotiate a deal where publishers keep 100% of all in-game purchase revenues made by consumers who are streaming the games. This is the case for Microsoft's 10-year licensing deal with GeForce Now and Boosteroid, so Activision may be able to make a similar deal. Given these points, it's entirely feasible to think that Activision could one day offer its games on cloud streaming service because A, users still have to buy the games, so there's no cannibalization effects that Activision Blizzard will literally face if the merger goes through and these titles are offered day and date on Game Pass, and B, Activision could negotiate a deal so that it keeps all monetization revenues from purchase made in stream games. And then it says here, there seems to be very little downside unless, of course, Activision were to launch its own multi-game subscription platform with some form of game streaming, like a publisher-specific Xbox Game Pass Ultimate offering. And then it shows, then it says here, Ground 4A on the other hand is much more apparent in its weakness. Microsoft legal counsel make a point that goes against basic market sense and counter everything we know about entertainment subscription service, especially multi-game subscription service like Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, Nintendo Switch Online, but also cloud streaming services that are similarly reliant on a value. And then it says in Ground 4A, Microsoft legal counsel says that the CMA wrongly relied on evidence that so-called AAA games would be important to cloud gaming service to find that Activision games in particular would hold such importance. This seems to imply that cloud gaming service do not need to rely on AAA hits in order to attain subscribers. This is not the case. Cloud gaming service are value-oriented service and therefore must rely on value in order to effectively compete in order to be successful. And then it says here, we've seen this play out in dramatic fashion with multi-game subscription service. And it shows the chart. And then it says here, the first MGS was Xbox Game Pass, a subscription that was so powerful that it disrupted the entire video game industry and ushered in a new wave of value-oriented subscription content. Nintendo broke the mold by combining its virtual console into a subscription-based format with Nintendo Switch Online. Sony followed Microsoft to combine PlayStation Plus with PlayStation Now and offer a new, innovative 3-tier plus model. And it says Microsoft Game Service that incorporates cloud gaming streaming service, PS Plus and Xbox Game Pass ultimately rely on heavily on big, high-quality AAA games for a larger part of their value. Users are much more likely to subscribe if there are big game offered on the service. This is also true for other entertainment subscriptions like Netflix, Disney, and HBO Max. In the cloud gaming service front, more specifically with non-MGS service like Boosteroid and NVIDIA GeForce Now, this reliance on value is still true. While these services do not host games or make available the games for commercial purchase, they still must obtain a license for the game in order to stream them. And these high-quality games are still extremely important to attract consumers and subscribers. And then it shows a chart again where Game Pass, Nintendo Switch Online, and PlayStation Plus. Then it says here, the entire ethos of the value-oriented business model is a reliance on value. This is most important, often presented with a content mix of quality and quantity. Sorry about that. And AAA game belongs to latter groups. PS Plus and Game Pass offer access to hundreds of games that vary in terms of quality, genre, scope, features, etc. It says the same is true for NVIDIA GeForce Now, which offers streaming over 1,500 games, and Boosteroid likewise offer access to dozens upon dozens of titles. It's just the method of access is different because these services require users to already own the game before they can stream them. And then it says, on the other hand, the full claim is that the CMA used evidence that AAA games would be important to cloud gaming service in order to argue that Activision games would summarily be just as important. Here at Tweaktown, I have tried to reiterate just how big Activision Blizzard is and how gigantic its titles have become. Call of Duty, for example, has sold over 425 million copies and generate over 31 billion in revenue. For the AAA gaming market, there are few titles that are big than Call of Duty, If AAA games are important to cloud gaming, then Activision games could indeed be important for cloud gaming by virtue of their size. It's not just Call of Duty, though. Activision Blizzard King has 8 separate video game franchises that have all made over $1 billion in revenue. The 3 top contributing games to ABK, Activision Blizzard King earnings, are Call of Duty, Warcraft, World of Warcraft, and Candy Crush. The company weighs its performance metrics based on the strength of these 3 franchises. Then it shows the chart. Then it says, currently it argues that these games are not important to cloud gaming because they are not available via cloud gaming. The idea is that cloud gaming service providers are still making money even without inclusion of Activision games. This is true even with plethora of AAA games. The cloud gaming sector does not need Activision title in order to operate. However, the implied value proposition is still there, and the size of these games remain one of the biggest reasons why the European Commission accept Microsoft remedies. The games are just too big to be excluded to any one service. The remedial action suggests that if the games are to be made available to one service, they need to be made available to all service. And then it says here, it's also worth mentioning that cloud gaming sector is currently a very small portion of the overall global market. According to the European Commission Vice President Margaret Vestager, cloud gaming makes up 1 through 3% of games industry earning, but the inclusion of Activision games could certainly change that. While it's arguably hard to effectively present clear instance of subscription growth based around the content offered on these subscription, largely because the company themselves do not present this kind of idea or information, the basic core principle of a value-oriented subscription model still remains. And this model would not exist if it were not successful to a large degree. The market would demand its eradication if that were the case, and everyone involved from Microsoft and Sony to Nvidia and Nintendo would be happy to oblige if it meant reducing loss. And then that's the end of the article. It took me 13 minutes. Should have did it under 10. But anyway, that's the end of the article. So this this article, good article by the way, Tweaktown. Anyway, says this article, see if I can get back to the top here. This article broke everything down, why AAA games are so important to subscription service, and based on this article, everybody would benefit from this. It wouldn't make sense. Microsoft even said it, that they weren't trying to keep the games to themselves, and it was a good move on their part by giving 10-year contracts to everybody. That way, no one is left out. Everyone that signed up for it, every subscription service that signed up to it, they are gonna benefit from this. So Microsoft saw the vision in this, and they got to Activision Blizzard before anyone else did. So it was Microsoft is doing the video game industry a very good service by purchasing Activision Blizzard, because everyone is going to benefit from this. Now, let's say you want to play World of Warcraft on let's say Boosteroid. Let's say if you want to play World of Warcraft on Enware, EE, Ubitus, Boosteroid, and Nvidia. That would be good, or even Nintendo. But Nintendo would have to step their game up for that to step their game up in the hardware department in order for that to happen, because World of Warcraft is a big game. Then there's the Candy Crush factor too. What if you want to play Candy Crush on Nrare, EE, Ubitus, Boosteroid, Nvidia, or Nintendo? What about StarCraft? What about StarCraft? Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody in the StarCraft fan base is big, so everybody benefits from this, man. Benefits from this a lot, and this was a good move on Microsoft part. I mean, the arguments that the argument that they provide. I mean, in their appeal, they're going to have some strong points. They're going to have some weak points, but they're going to definitely have some strong points, some strong argument points, and you know, then a decision can be made from there. But this was a good move on their part, you know. I mean, sure, AAA service. I mean, subscription service need AAA games. That's true. But there's more. But you got to have balance, though. That's the other thing. You got to have balance. You gotta have big AAA game, but you got to have other games that are not AAA to bring balance to your subscription. Balance to your subscription service, so it can thrive and it can grow. So it's not just about AAA games. You know, it's just, I mean, you got to have some AAA games, but you got to have other like games that are even indie based to help your subscription service out. You know, when it comes to these cloud gaming service, it's all about variety when it comes to, like, you know, running a subscription service. So yeah, you know, Microsoft did good on this, man. You know, and Google could have benefited from this too. You know, Google could have benefited from this too. You know, they could have gotten a contract with Microsoft too, even though they are Microsoft or competitors. They would have benefited. I mean, they could have. The Stadia could still be here. You know, maybe World of Warcraft helped the Stadia out. Maybe StarCraft helped the Stadia out. Maybe Candy Crush, one of those games. You know, they would have helped the Stadia out. But now that you and Sony are really trying to block the deal, it's gonna if once this deal goes through, it's gonna hurt, man. It's like we should have just signed up with the deal and get it over with, you know. Because I mean, Sony, they have other games that help their PlayStation Plus. It's not just Activision. It's not just Call of Duty. They have other games from their developers that make games for PlayStation that help the PS Plus out, plus the indie games that helps it out too. So their PS Plus is growing, but you know, for them to try to block a deal that would have benefited them, yeah, not good. But other than that, Microsoft was looking out for everybody, you know, and people need to really think, okay, what would have happened if let's say Google got this? What would have happened if Amazon would have got to Activision Blizzard? Or what if Tencent would have gotten to Activision Blizzard? What would the industry be like? You know, so yeah, lots to think about, man. But other than that, they're doing good, man. For what they're doing, you know, they're helping the industry grow, industry thrive, and trying to get games to people. Try to get games get games to people who don't even have an Xbox or a PlayStation or even a Nintendo. They might have an EE, they may have a Nrare, they might be using Boosteroid, you know, they might be using Ubitus, you know, they might be using GeForce Now. So Microsoft did good when it comes to this this Activision Blizzard merger, man. So they're doing the service a good favor. So, but I mean, their arguments that they present, I mean, they might have some arguments that are not so strong, but they will have others that really drive the point home. And that's the thing about making an argument, you know, you got to have balance, you know. So yeah, other than that, keep pushing, Microsoft, keep pushing, you know, see this deal all the way through. And if this got to go to the higher courts, so be it. Meaning the courts in the United Nations or the Supreme Court, so be it. The FTC and the CMA is not exempt from the higher courts. No, they're not. So if this case make it go that far, yeah, they'll be on the hot seat. But other than that, keep pushing through. Anyway, leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek fan. Board, dark side. Go.